Hello and welcome to episode 52 of The Weighing Room, sponsored by 10Bet, where we are back as the trio this week and we'll be previewing a huge weekend of racing from Jumps Racing HQ and Lingfield on ITV, with Cheltenham's November meeting stealing the show. Frankie, nice to have you back this week. Been a busy man, haven't you?
Oh, November's crazy. Best time of year, but it's, busy. I love this time of year. Just good racing comes one week after the next. You have a big meeting and then you kind of settle down and then it's on to the next and on to the next. So busy, but yeah, we all love this time of year.
Yeah, we do, especially as it's Cheltenham this weekend. Paul, we hit the crossbar a few times last week. We did find a few winners. You looking forward to the November meeting?
Oh, absolutely. Love it. Big guns starting to really gather momentum now, starting to come out, and the National Hunt season is pretty non-stop from here on in. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, top weekend of racing. As I mentioned, we'll be looking at the Saturday and the Sunday from Cheltenham with a look at Lingfield as well. With the racing over the 3-day meeting, absolutely top class. But before we get going, I just want to bring your attention to 10Bet's superb offer they have running at the moment. New bettors get 50% off their first deposit up to £50 when signing up. Terms and conditions do apply, so make sure you check them out before you get involved. But it is a great offer to get involved with ahead of the November meeting this weekend. Right then, lads, we kick off this week's pod by looking at the Grade 2 Arkle Trial Novices Chase. 2-mile event from Cheltenham. Frankie, we've got to start with you on this one. Who do you like?
Tommy's Oscar, I don't think is being fairly represented in the market. Little bit of a drift, kind of last day or two. 11-4. I mean, this horse was rated 155 over hurdles. Monreal 149. We've yet to see Monreal over fences. Tommy's Oscar had that great 2-runner race. And the big thing I like about Tommy's Oscar is he's jumped well under pressure. A massive thing at Cheltenham. You've got to ping those last two well. You can't be a horse that can jump and travel, but then when asked to find, struggles with a fence. And Tommy's Oscar was brilliant the last two. Real tough finish. They were neck and neck the last two fences and went on to win in the end. I think that could be all the difference, him jumping well at those last two fences at Cheltenham. So yeah, Tommy's Oscar, I think, is a bigger price than I'd expect anyway.
Yeah, it's a great setup, obviously, the run, isn't it? The Hamiltons, and it'd be nice to see Tommy's Oscar. And it obviously was a big story when he went into the champion hurdle as well. So now he's over fences. We'll see what he can do around the 11-4 mark. Paul, for yourself in this one?
I've gone with Banbridge, who's a festival winner. He took the Martin Pike back in March. He was very impressive, I thought, when scoring on Chasing Debut at Goran Park on October the 1st. He has the benefit of running in 3-point points. And the owner does like to travel this route with his horses. He's done it in the past with the likes of Galvin and what have you. They've ran at Cheltenham earlier on in the season at the showcase meeting, at the November meeting, and then gone on to run well at the festival. So I'd imagine it's another stepping stone to March, and I think Banbridge should go close here.
Yeah, it's a fascinating race, isn't it, this one? Even though it's 7 runners, but it's a fascinating race. Obviously, you've got Pendleton Hills, who's actually never jumped a fence but won a race over fences. Glory and Fortune was obviously a nice hurdle, and Soul Pretender 16-1, also a nice hurdler. But you can tell it's a difficult one because we've all gone for different horses in this one. I've gone for the top horse, Monmoral. I just think, as Nichols said when he first unleashed his horse, this was a horse to go over fences. What he did over hurdles was a bonus, and he was a brilliant hurdles horse. Obviously, a Grade 1 winner at Aintree in that anniversary 4-year-old juvenile hurdle. Last season, look, he didn't go to plan. He was tried in the bigger races like the Fighting Fifth, the National Spirit, and it didn't work. But he did get back to form at Aintree when behind Epatante in second in the 2-mile 4 Aintree hurdle. Said to be schooling well. I just think this could be the class act. The worry I have with Banbridge is why is it dropping back to 2 mile? And it might be a little fat 5 in a mission. We know Monmoral will go over 2 mile, even though it's run well over 2-mile 4. And Tommy's Oscar, the thing why I'm swayed away from Tommy's Oscar is because he's not the sexy horse, is he? It's sad to say, he's a brilliant horse. But when you talk about Monmoral and where it's come from, and it's no offense to anyone involved with Tommy's Oscar, he's just not the sexy horse. But you can see why he'd go and win. But that's why it swung me towards Monmoral when the odds are getting ever closer, 2-1, 11-4, 11-4. I just thought Monmoral has been waiting for fences and couldn't go get the job done today. But I think it's a fascinating race to kick us off. We're going to stay at Cheltenham for the next event we're going to cover, and it is the big one. It's the Paddy Power Gold Cup over 2-mile 4. A fascinating event every season, this, Paul, isn't it? I'll read through the top of the market. We have French Dynamite, who looked chucked in here off 148 at 4-1. Garlaw attracted some attention, 6-1. Stolen Silver, 7-1. Il Rodotto, 7-1. Galahad Quest at 10-1. And then 12-1 bar them. Who did you side with in this one?
I've gone with Galahad Quest, who finished second at 3 finishers on a seasonal reappearance at Chepstow last month. He's obviously been quite fragile to train, as this is only his 18th career start and his 12th over fences. He has 1 victory from those 11 starts over the larger obstacles, but thought he ran well to finish second in a grade 3 at Cheltenham back in January of this year off a handicap mark of 132. He takes his chance here off 131, and with the benefit of that recent outing, I think he should be capable of a bold show. So it's Galahad Quest for me.
Yeah, for the same reasons, Paul, I'm with you on this one. I think Galahad Quest has got an absolutely massive chance. He's one of those horses that I'm definitely going to back each way, because he's one of the horses that you never actually see him win too many races, but he's always in and around the frame. He's very consistent. And when you're offering odds of 10-1 in a race, when he ran brilliantly in this race last year, he's off £4 lower on Saturday. I think he's going to go close again. But from a win perspective, for me, I think French Dynamite's hard to get away from. I think the form this horse holds, and look how bad the English handicap has been to Irish horses over the last 18 months, and only giving this £4 for the race behind Buses and Nel Barra, and the form they've showed since, I think this horse could be absolutely chucked in. They thought he was going to be a great hurdler, and he showed glimpses that he could be. He's been running in grade 1s, running in grade 2s. He's been set up perfectly for this race off the back of winning a hurdles race over 2 miles 7. Mouse Morris is a shrewd operator. They've obviously had this in mind from the start of the season, and I just think it's ridiculous off 148. I just think French Dynamite could be absolutely chucked in here. And I know it's the favourite in a big handicap race, but you can't get away from the Irish, especially at Cheltenham, and this just absolutely sneaks in for me. So French Dynamite to win, but Galahad Quest at 10-1 each way would be my play in the race. Frankie, for you?
Galahad Quest would be an each way play for me as well. So I think, I mean, you both mentioned it there, but yeah, ran one in this last year and should go well again. I think that's a great one to play each way, and you'd be confident that he should be thereabouts and maybe win. The other I like would be Stolen Silver. I seem to have been having a habit of putting up Sam Thomas's in a handicap, but they've been running well. They've been winning. If you follow this horse's kind of career since his winning his novice chase, second at Cheltenham behind Editor to Geet. Editor to Geet loves it round here, and that was a decent run. Got stepped up into better company behind Edwardstone, third time lucky. Not good enough for that, but then went back into handicaps, a third, a fourth at decent handicaps, and then recently won, probably a bit too nicely. You'd like that to be a little closer because he has gone up in the weights, but I do still think there's more progression in this horse. He's been unlucky. He's had races where he hasn't jumped that great and still finished in the places, and if it all comes together, I still think he's got a chance off of even that raised mark of 150. So yeah, Galahad Quest and Stolen Silver, both each way for me.
Yeah, Stolen Silver, it's definitely got a big chance, just if he can run off that mark of 150, isn't it? But as you said, Sam Thomas has been absolutely flying at the moment, hasn't he, in his handicaps? So you've got to stick by him. Right, we change tack a bit and we go over to Lingfield because they are on ITV on the all-weather. And the first race we're going to cover is the listed Golden Rose Stakes over 6 furlong. Frankie, talk us through your selections. There's a couple of oldies in here that we don't discriminate, do we, on this podcast?
We definitely don't. We definitely don't discriminate. I'm not going for any of there's a 10-year-old. I'm going for the 7-year-old, though, Harry's Bar. So he's older than quite a few of these. Summergander, I know you're a fan of as well. This is one for Paul, really, Harry's Bar. His last 4 on at Dundalk. It's a Dundalk special. and honestly, that's what I like about it. So he's running good races, good sprinting races. 5 furlong and 6 furlong races on the all-weather at Dundalk. They are not hard races to go and place, not easy races to go and place in. And he's got a first, a third, a fourth, all to his name. He's running well. He's quick. He goes on the surface. I think Harry's Bar's got a great chance. If you can get an each-way play, I'm sure you'll see him near the top 3 anyway. And it's a big field, so you might get more with some firms.
Yeah, Harry's Bar. I did look at him myself. He's also a course and distance winner around Lingfield, and around 6-1, he does represent big each way value, I think, in that race. Paul, are you with the Dundalk specialist?
I am, yeah. Funny enough, I think the trip to Dundalk has rubbed off on Frankie, so it has. Yeah, I think he has to be thereabouts. He finished sixth in this race last year. He was only beaten 3 1/4 lengths by the winner. That was off a mark of 106. He takes his chance here of 111, but as Frankie mentioned, he ran well to finish fifth in that Group 3 at Dundalk last time out. And I think he has to have a good shout here from stall 6.
Yeah, I agree. I think Harry's Bar got a massive chance, but like you've stuck to your Dundalk roots there, Paul, I'm going to have to stick to Summergan because he's a horse that I absolutely love. He's took his form to a new level, and it's amazing at the age of 8 how he seems to still be progressing. If you look at what he's done recently, off a mark of 102, he landed the 24 Runner Air Gold Cup. He had no right to go and win that off that mark, really, winning like races off 97 and then going up to 102 and winning that. And then he went to the Group 3 Benkoff Stakes, and that was probably his best run of the season. He was just getting better and better. He was a length and a half second behind Rohan. Rohan obviously went and ran an absolute crack in the British Champion Sprint Stakes on the wrong side of the track. They were going to run him on heavy ground, but he was a non-runner at Doncaster. I think that was last week. So they obviously thought, right, we'll go and give him a chance, get him in the All-Weather Championships, because from, like you said, Harry's Bar drawn stall 6, Summergan's drawn stall 5. Got absolutely no problem in that. I think he's going to absolutely fly home late, which is brilliant if you come over the top at a Lingfield. But I think it is a match race between Summergan and Harry's Bar. But I'm going to stick with my old faithful 8-year-old Summergan, and I hope he goes and does the business, because at the moment he's running to a top level, and what a horse he has been for David O'Meara and connections. Back over to Cheltenham then, and an interesting race on the Saturday is the 2:55 Paddy Power Games handicap hurdle over 3 miles. Paul, who'd you land on this one?
Well, as a Newcastle fan, I'd be hoping Shearer can land the blow or be thereabouts, but the £8 rise may or may not be just enough to stop him. So I've gone elsewhere, and I've gone with Fontana Elise. Forgive the pronunciation, but hopefully it will not slow the selection down. I think Fontana Elise would need to improve to take this, but I thought he ran a cracker to finish second behind Seddon at the showcase meeting when last seen, and I think if he can back that run up here, he shouldn't be far away.
Yeah, around the 12-1 mark for Samuel Drinkwater. Frankie, for yourself on this one, it's a toughie, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion. It's kind of one of those races I'm trying to find what I think might win, but it definitely wouldn't be one I'd have my own few quid on, because there's nothing I'm that strong on. Sadie is male, potentially well handicapped, but rating a 127 against some of these that are clearly classier makes me wonder if he's going to be good enough. In the end, I think I've been swayed by the money for Annual Invictus, and sometimes you've got to take that angle. If there's not a whole lot you can find a case for them, let the market make the case for you. Obviously, a great chaser, great staying chaser, has run really well in 3-mile chases, has won round Cheltenham before, and back to hurdles, this could be a dangerous mark, which the market does suggest 135. It should be better than that. You just don't know the full story, as most of his work's been done over fences. But yeah, Annual Invictus, given a bit of money and the low mark, provided that it comes out and is decent enough over hurdles again, then that'd be my one to have a poke at.
Yeah, Chris Gordon, he's had a great start to the season as well, and currently around 5-1. You can still play each way to a bet to nothing. I think I found a little angle in here, lads. One at quite a nice price, and it's Lisnagar Oscar at 16-1. Look, if you look at what the form he's shown, what in the last 18 months, you go, James, you're absolutely stupid. How can you back this horse? But a winner, he does perform his best round Cheltenham, I think, because a winner at the 2020 Cheltenham Festival and winning the Grade 1 Stayers Hurdle from Ronald Pump that day. A top rating 160, but he'd probably never been a 160 horse. So he's been struggling ever since then to run in those bigger races, and he's been smashed back down the handicap because he showed very little form over the last 2 seasons. But his best runs have come at Cheltenham. He finished third in the Grade 2 Cleve Hurdle behind Paisley Park, and he wasn't too far behind him that day. But he's been pulled up on 3 of his last 4 runs, which has seen his mark down to 142 now, which made him appealing anyway. But Rob James takes the ride, taking off another £7. So essentially, he races off 135. If he's got any of the fire still burning in that belly, Lisnagar Oscar off 135 at a course and distance that we know he does well at. I think 16-1 could be a lovely play for him in this race. Look, like you said, it's tough when you're trying to find an angle into this race. But when I was looking through and was everything I was looking at was making more sense. A lot of people will be turned off because you've got more letters than numbers in his form. But Lisnagar Oscar at 16-1 off essentially a mark of 135, because I think Rob James for his £7 claim is ridiculous, really. I think he's brilliant, especially around Cheltenham as well. He's shown that at the festival. Lisnagar Oscar at 16-1. He's probably going to be one of my best bets on the card, I think.
Not a bad shout, that, James. He does his best work around this time of year as well. If you look at it, he's never that great through the summer. He's got a lot of better form around October, November.
And I know he's
not a bad little spot.
I know he's 9 years of age and a lot of younger horses, but if he is still retaining any of that old form, you're not a Stayers Hurdles winner if you're not a good horse, are you? So off 135, I think that could be the play at 16-1 in this race. Lingfield's final event on ITV this weekend sees another nice listed event with the Churchill Stakes over 1 mile 2 furlongs. An interesting betting event. As last year, we saw Pile Driver go and win this. Obviously, what a Group 1 horse he's been. Frankie doesn't look to be the same calibre of horse in it this year, but still a nice event anyway.
Yeah, it is. I'm going for what would be, he's not the highest rated horse in the field, but Mr. Cut, I think you've just got to excuse his holidays in France. Looked a really, really smart and progressive horse. Obviously, had 3 on the bounce, Ponty, Salisbury, and then Ascot. 5th in France when going off 6-4 favourite potentially, but short enough anyway. And disappointing, to be honest. But if you rewind, he gets the trip. He's ground versatile. I mean, I know this on the all-weather, but he's gone on, I think, heavy. He's gone on good to firm. So that'll give me a little bit more hope that he's going to take to this surface at Lingfield. We don't know yet. But Mr. Cut, for me, if you delete that blip in France and follow the upward curve, then there's a lot more to come than what we've seen. So I'm hoping that was just a bit of a mishap overseas, and he has still in training continued that progression and will come here and show it.
Yeah, absolutely bang on. I think Mr. Cut's the play here. 9-4 favourite. Look, Bolshoi Ballet, a horse we haven't heard of for a long, long time, could come back and be the class act, but it's very tough after 335 days off. Especially around Lingfield, to go and run a big race. Mr. Cut, the only problem I have with Mr. Cut is he needs the draw, but over 1 mile 2 shouldn't be a problem. But apart from that, he's got everything going his way. You need to excuse that run in France. But if you actually look at the form, Al Hakim, who won that race, when I finished 4th in the Arc, so it's not a bad form at all. Very, very progressive last season, like you said, Frankie. Obviously, winning at Royal Ascot, that was probably the pinnacle. But before that, Salisbury and Pontefract, he was brilliant. So Mr. Cut for me, off the back of a break. I think he's the most likely winner. Paul, are you in agreement with us, or are you going elsewhere?
No, I've come down on the side of Harrovian, who is 0 from 2 on the all-weather to date, but he ran a cracker to finish second in this race behind Pile Driver last year. I think he's every chance of going better from stall number 5, and I think it's Harrovian for me for the jockey and trainer combination of James Doyle and John Thady Gosden.
Yeah, Harrovian around the 5-1 mark for Paul then. The final event on Saturday from Cheltenham we're going to cover is the Paddy Power Intermediate Handicap Hurdle over 2 mile 5. Paul, another tricky event. Who do you like?
Yeah, I've gone with El Perfecta in this one. I think she's interesting for trainer Colin Murphy and jockey Liam McKenna. On hurdling debut, she was second in a Mayor's Maiden hurdle at Cork in August of last year. We then didn't see her until July of this year when I think it's fair to say, she bolted up at Bellewstown under jockey Shane Fitzgerald. Then found life a little tough in a listed hurdle at Galway in the summertime and was last seen scoring at Listowel in September. Trainer Colin Murphy knows what it takes to win here, and I think under jockey Liam McKenna takes a valuable £5 to lighten the burden off 11 stone 7. I think El Perfecta has a cracking chance in this one.
Yeah, it's at 9-2 at the moment, El Perfecta, and she has got a big chance, obviously, with Liam McKenna taking off that £5. Frankie, who do you like in this one?
The tricky one, isn't it? Mahon's Glory, or Mahon's Glory for Dr. Richard Newland, has been hiked up in the weights, but I did really like that first start for the new trainer. And at 14-1 that day, it wasn't exactly going to entry short enough. I think there's got to be some improvement left. And I just like the way that he finished his race, really kind of stuck to his task, get the impression that he will go well at this trip. He has raced at 2 mile 4, 2-3, just over 2, and been in the placings before over in Ireland earlier in his career with a different trainer. But yeah, opened his account nicely with new trainer. Looks like he should improve. He has got to deal with the hike in the weights, but for me, it's doable.
Yeah, Mahon's Glory 9-1 could be a nice each way play. I've judged this race, lads, but both from a win only perspective because 7-2 and 4-1 respectively. I'd have 2 stabs at the race with plenty of runners. First one is, look, this could be simple. The Wise Guy at 7-2 off a marker 119 could be absolutely chucked in. Seen for the first time in January 2021 at Doncaster when winning a 12-runner bumper. He went on to beat Hillcrest that day. Obviously, we know how good Hillcrest is. Not so good at Fontwell. We're back in third behind That's All Right Gino, but he's turned out to be a nice horse over hurdles and fences. But he got off the mark at the second time of asking at Doncaster when stepped up to 3 mile and a half per furlong. He revelled in that new trip. He absolutely went away. If you look at the second horse, that's come out and ran well, and that has been given a handicap mark of 120. 120 plus, sorry. So if that's the case and the Wise Guy's off 119, I don't understand how well chucked in this horse is. The handicapper, we found a few blocks, haven't we, already this season? I think this could be one. I know he's a favourite 7-2, but I don't mind him being dropped down to 2 mile 5 at all, because at Cheltenham, you need to have that bit more in hand going up that hill. I think he could be a really, really smart hurdler this season, and 119, I think, is ridiculous mark for this horse. And I know it's obvious again, but Unanswered was a bigger price, but now we're recording Friday morning, 4-1. I got playing win only as well. He's slightly a bigger price than the Wise Guy, but he's just another unknown Irish raider from Tony Martin. Tony Martin's, he had a winner at this meeting last season. The Irish have done well over the last few years in these sort of races. And off a marker 111, he could be chucked in as well. He's been running on the flat throughout the summer off extremely low marks, and he's been in good form in the staying handicaps, winning 4 races and having 2 places in 7 runs. He's obviously got big potential over both codes, but he showed he can do over hurdles as well with his last run over hurdles at Punchestown in May, when landing a 19-runner handicap off a mark of 89. Obviously, he won by 9 lengths that day, but he's obviously up to 111 in this. He's having his first run back over hurdles for 172 days, but actually he's only having his first run back in 17 days, having been running on the flat. So he'll be fit enough for this race, and he could just be chucked in. So them two at the top of the market, from a win-only perspective, I thought were really, really interesting. We move on to Sunday's racing. Then we're going to have a quick look at the 2 big ones with the Schlur Chase, the first race, Frankie. This sees Edward Stone take on Nuba Negra, hopefully. Obviously, we're talking from an anti-post perspective at the moment, but it could be an absolutely cracking race, couldn't it? Nuba Negra won the race last year. Edward Stone, Grade 1 winner last year, absolutely superb. Who takes it?
Edward Stone. Keep it simple. This wins. Nothing is putting me off Edward Stone, if I'm honest. It'd be a great race, be an exciting race to watch. 2 top class horses, and you know they're going to go at it, especially Nuba Negra. But yeah, Edward Stone for me was just the class act last year, top class chaser, brilliant to watch all season. And I think, yeah, but I back him now to get some pennies back if it all goes wrong Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, Edward Stone got a big chance. Paul, who are you with?
Edward Stone. He's the class horse, I think, in the race. I think they'll probably be lucky if there's more than 4 runners declared. There's only 7 entries in the race. It'll be pretty tactical given that. But yeah, I think maybe Nuba Negro, you'd imagine, might just the skeleton team will let him bolt along in front, and Edward Stone will be in an ideal world. He'll be there to chin him late on. Yeah,
that's a hat trick for us, lads. We're all going for Edward Stone this one. I don't see how he gets beat, especially getting £3 off Nuba Negra as well. I think he's got a massive chance, and he's shown how good he can be, can't he? And I think he'll progress again this season. So Edward Stone for the 3 of us. Right, the final race we're going to discuss, he's probably one of the trickiest events on the cards. It is the Unibet Greatwood Hurdle, over 2 miles. Paul, a top event on the Sunday. A lot of different angles into it. Who did you come down on?
Well, I was hoping Jim Coco would take his chance here, but I think he's going for the novice hurdle instead. So I've gone with Sonny Gino, who's two starts from this season, have yielded 2 victories. I thought he was very impressive winning at Chepstow last time out in the manner he did, having raced quite keenly for a large part of that race, and there should be more to come. So I think Sonny Gino will be a tough nut to crack in the Greatwood. Yeah,
it looks a very progressive horse for Paul Nicholls. Frankie, who are you going for in this one?
I'm going back in with Dad's lad. I put up when he won chasing at Cheltenham. I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Willie Mullins, isn't it? Have a horse well handicapped to go and win a chase in the October meet, and then come back and have one well handicapped to win a hurdle race in the November meet. He was brilliant over fences. If you go back to his last hurdle race at Listowel, I mean, there's top horses in there. Phil's Duderi, my mate Mozzie. These are your 140 race horse. I know it was a handicap, and Dad's Lad was off a nice low weight, but he still ran to a good caliber races. And those horses, in my opinion, are better than what we've got in here with Sonagino and I Like to Move It. Probably the top horses, or West Cork as well in here. Yeah, I think it's just really interesting. 128 could still be on the low side, and it'd be brilliant. Yeah, to, as I said, win a handicap chase and then a handicap hurdle, and it's definitely within reach.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I think Dad's Lad's a perfect bit of placing by Mullins. He looks incredibly well handicapped to me, but as does Thousand Tears from at Mullins. They're not stupid, are they? These Irish coming over and getting these races. But yeah, winning that handicap chase off 135, and he looked chucked in then. So to drop back to 128 and already showing he has form over hurdles on Sunday, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Dad's Lad at 5-1 is an absolutely cracking bet for me. But one I have found a really big price is 25-1. Is Cormier. I thought he could run really well for Brian Ellison. Won back-to-back races last year in good handicaps. Won over course and distance in January off a marker 130. Then off £4 higher at Kelso, taking the more battle hurdle. Last seen over hurdles, won 7th of 26 in the county hurdle, trying to chase that bonus down off the back of the more battle hurdle. That was off a marker 139. He races off 138 today, but handy claimer, I think it's Ben Bromley, takes off £7. So essentially runs off a marker 131. So if he's winning race off 130, 134, having run off the flat all through the summer, he'll be bang on fit for this race. And I think he could be on a very, very attractive mark around the 25-1 mark. So Cormier, from an E-Trade perspective, but I think Dad's Lad is too well handicapped for the Irish and will go and win this race. Right then, lads, that's all of Saturday's and Sunday's events covered. Some cracking racing at Cheltenham, but you know what I'm going to ask for now? Can I have your nap, please, from either day, or can be from Dundalk? Paul, we'll start with you.
I thought we'd never get there. We're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to do a podcast solely for Dundalk, I think. Yeah. Right, back to the action. Saturday, 1:45. I think Banbridge will score. I've seen 11-4 last night. I think I'm hoping come 1:45 Saturday afternoon, 11-4 will look a big price for Banbridge. I'm obviously not going to go without flagging a few for Dundalk. I think Declan McDonough has a cracking book of rides tonight. Most notably in the 4:45, he rides Capital Guarantee for a trainer that he's a pretty good strike rate for, Kieran Cotter. And in the 6:45, he rides Boom Boom Boom, who I thought is more valued than his winning distance suggests when he scored at Dundalk last time out. And I'm also finally going to give a mention to Skontanovsky for Aido McGuinness in the 6:15, which is the apprentice handicap. He is drawn out wide in 14, but he's a horse who likes to come from off the pace. So either way, regardless of the draw, he was going to be dropped in anyway. We will be hoping for a little bit of luck, but it's an apprentice race. Hopefully, they'll go pretty hard in the early stages, and that will play into Skontanovsky's hands in the 6:15.
Yeah, lovely stuff, Paul. We always love a Dundalk mention. Frankie, who are you going with this week?
Oh, it's hard. We're brewing up a storm falling. It's put me under pressure. I'm going to stick with Dad's Lad, you know. I was close to putting up Galahad Quest each way. That's got to be in the placings. But Dad's Lad has, as I said, a bet to nothing at around 5-1. If you want to play that each way and get your money back if he's in, I mean, you're going to get, 5 places in that race. That's got to be a cracking bet. Could go and win. I'd say you'd nearly definitely get your money back with that one.
Yeah, Galahad. Who did you say again? Sorry.
Dad's Lad.
Dad's Lad. Yeah, definitely got a big chance. We both like him. I probably should play a bit sensible because we do need a winner since we've been starting the table. But
Edwardstone.
No, I'm going to take a bit of a swing. I'll put up a big mention for Lisnagar Oscar, 16-1 each way. I think could be a cracking price off his mark, essentially of 135. So let's hope he returns to a bit of form. But Lisnagar Oscar at 16-1 is going to be my nap each way this weekend. Lads, we've absolutely flown through that. Some cracking action across Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and also racing at Lingfield. So thank you as always for your selections this week. Hopefully we found some winners. Please be sure to like this video as usual. Comment your selections for all the Cheltenham races this weekend and subscribe to the Winners in Closure channel with plenty to have a look through. And lads, all the best for this weekend. And Frankie, I think you'll be on track, won't you, today? So
all 3 days, so yeah.
And whatever you're back in this weekend, good luck.